Hi LEGO fans! We've got another scarily large box with a price tag that's going to haunt me for some time. Enter if you dare because Baron Von Barron is back, and this time he has a spooky drop ride. Today I'm going to be unboxing, speed building, and reviewing set number 10273, Haunted House, a 3,231 piece set from the LEGO Creator Expert Fairground collection. This $250 set was released on the 20th of May to LEGO VIP members and sold out pretty much immediately. Included in the 3,231 piece part count, we have a collection of 9 minifigures. We have a top hat wearing skeleton, 2 freakishly fearsome phantoms, a top hat wearing ride attendant, a wheelchair user who looks absolutely terrified, a girl minifigure wearing some kind of college jacket, a cool dude with some impressive sideburns, Sharon from accounting who's got a lockdown hairstyle, and a terrified woman wearing a biker jacket. The box art has a very mature look and feel, which is no surprise given this is aimed at adult builders. The Haunted House itself is themed around the adventures of Baron Von Barron, who appeared in the LEGO Adventurers range between 1998 and 2000. Over on the back of the box we get a closer look at what lies within, and there are a bunch of Easter eggs in here. I'll point those out to you later in the video. As you'd expect with the set costing $250, this has some impressive dimensions. Manor Von Barron is 26.5 inches or 68 centimeters high, and 9 inches or 25 centimeters wide and deep. If my calculations are correct, that means it takes up the footprint of a 32 by 32 square. In other words, I'm going to be able to put it with my modulars. Other features of the set include a portrait of Baron Von Barron which is illuminated by a light brick. Batteries are included. Beyond just being a creepy looking house, we do have a fairground ride. As you can see, we have mechanised components. Clearly inspired by Disney's Tower of Terror, the minifigures can take an elevator ride to the top of the building, and then freefall all of the way to the basement. If $250 wasn't expensive enough, you can also add 2 motors and a control box. Sadly, I couldn't get those parts, so we're going manual today. Thankfully, we have a bunch of cool features and Easter eggs inside the house to make up for the disappointment. We've got many hours of building ahead, but before we do the speed build, let's open up this box and see what we've got inside. Here's everything that came inside the box. We've got 25 bags of LEGO numbered for stages 1 through 18, a 309-page instruction booklet printed on the remains of a small tree, a selection of 16 by 16 and 8 by 16 base plates, and a Kids Go free offer to visit Legoland, which is currently closed. Thank you, LEGO! We're going to go ahead and build set number 10273, Haunted House, and today this is going to be a 3-minute speed build! And here is the completed 10273 Haunted House from the LEGO Creator Expert Fairground collection. Build time today was 5 hours and 4 minutes, or about 30 gigabytes of 4K video. Apart from putting the chain links together, it was a super fun build and the end result is phenomenal. It's easy to see where LEGO got their inspiration, but not necessarily their IP. This is clearly inspired by Disney's Haunted Mansion and the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. That's one of my favourite rides in the whole world, and Mrs. H loves it too. As you can tell by her face, she's having a fantastic time. We've got a lot to check out, so we're going to start by taking a look at the exterior features. We will of course be taking a ride on the haunted elevator. I'll try my best to explain how this thing works. Later in the video we'll be taking a close-up look at all of the minifigures. And although I didn't buy the kit to automate the haunted house, I do have a bunch of motors lying around, so we're going to give this a go and see if we can avoid spending some money. With all of that said, let me be the first to welcome you to Manor Von Barron. As you can see, this is a very impressive and very imposing LEGO building. It's well over 2 feet or almost half a metre tall. Despite the impressive elevation, the footprint of this set is actually quite compact. In fact, the footprint when fully folded up is a 64 by 64 square. We do however have hinges on each side which stick out, and they could make it tricky to display alongside modular buildings. Those hinges do mean that we can open up the haunted house to reveal the sumptuous interior inside. We'll come back to all of that interior goodness in just a couple of minutes. The roof of the tower is topped out with some really nice details, including some swords which would usually be used for fencing. It's a really nice use of this minifigure accessory, and I guess these could double up as lightning conductors. They sit on top of a very impressive and steep roofline. Around the edge we have some more decoration, but then we come to our first Easter egg. The shield is inspired by a sub-theme of LEGO Castle called Fright Knights. The really cool thing however is the bat symbol and the Roman numerals. I had to go back to school to figure this out, but the Roman numerals VMVII are actually a reference to a LEGO set. It's set number 6007, Batlord from LEGO Fright Knights. Beneath the shield near the top of the tower we have a pair of very innocent looking doors. Innocent looking until... The tower itself looks like a repetitive build, and to some extent that's true, but LEGO does switch up the instructions to keep you guessing. Each floor has the same architectural details and looks pretty much like the one beneath. I really like the grey stonework in the corners, and also the consistency of the decorative ledges. This build sure has a lot of windows, and you'll find 88 of these window panes all over the haunted house. The tall pitched roof of Manor Von Barron gives it a very imposing appearance. Here you'll find even more spires decorated with fencing sabres. We also have some really nice decorative chimney pots, and some fabulous gargoyles made out of these dark grey frog elements. Finally we reach the front of the building where the next set of victims are getting their first look at Manor Von Barron. Mounted on the front is another Fright Night shield and a plaque confirming this is Manor Von Barron. We also have some rather nice stained glass which reminds me of Hogwarts Castle, and a spooky graveyard located right outside the front door. The graveyard is decorated with suitably spooky paraphernalia, including a dead bush, an ornate grave decorated with a bat statue, and a pumpkin patch because even ghouls and ghosts need their 5 a day. Of course all of the really cool stuff is hiding away inside. We need to find a way to open up the front doors. It just so happens that the designers already thought of that, and we have a convenient dial on the side of the house. There ain't no turning back now, kids. Welcome to the awesomeness that is Manor Von Barron. In the centre of the haunted house we do of course have the epic drop ride. This thing is absolutely fantastic, and I'll be showing you how it works in just a couple of minutes. But before then, let's take a look around the interior. First we have the grand entrance hall, which gives us a peek behind the curtains to see how those doors work. Thankfully the door mechanism is much more elegant than the craftsmanship used on the back of the doors. These things are rough. Above the doors you'll find an elegant chandelier and the mechanism that makes both doors swing open at the same time. In the roof space above the front doors we have some kind of spooky altar. I don't know whether this spooky top hat wearing skeleton holding a sextant is cursed, or perhaps he's just hanging around. He might even be a relative of one of the ride attendants. Poking his head out from under the altar we have a red snake who reminds me of the Indiana Jones sets. Objects on top include a golden chalice, an upside down lantern, and 2 skeleton head candles. In the next roof space over we have some interesting LEGO artefacts. This happy looking skeleton head inside a trans neon green dome is actually the Orb of Ogel. Ogel was a villain from the Alpha Team sets, and of course his name was Lego spelt backwards. These mysterious looking artifacts were called mind control orbs and were used for Ogel for nefarious purposes. Also up here we have what is referred to in the instructions as the Golden Dingus. It appeared in a 2003 Orient Expedition set, 7412 Yeti's Hideout. I believe the Yeti ate Von Barron's hand when he reached out to try and grab it. Thankfully Von Barron already had a hook for a hand and just replaced it with a new one. In the middle is what looks like a box of junk, and that's exactly what it is. If you look up, way above the Orb of Ogel and the Golden Dingus, you will find a large spiderweb element suspended from the roof. This interesting looking artifact is the Resonator. Apparently Von Barron tried to use this to harness the power of the Rigu Ruby. It didn't go quite to plan, and Von Barron actually summoned 2 friendly ghosts from beyond. I guess that's where these guys came from. The gem inside appears not to be the Rigu Ruby, in fact it looks more like a sapphire, but I do like the golden candlestick-like elements around it. Hidden away behind the mysterious Resonator we have a detonator. Returning to the heart of the manor we find the ride loading area, but there are also a bunch of artifacts here. For example, we have one of the obelisks which appeared in set number 5978, Sphinx Secret Surprise from LEGO Adventurers. This includes a printed part decorated with hieroglyphics, and I believe a similar version appeared in 2996 Adventurer's Tomb. The obelisk is referred to as the Obelisk of Evil, and Von Barron stole it because it had the most evil inscription he'd ever seen. We also have a pair of candles because why not? On the other side of the elevator shaft we have a ride attendant ready to sell you a ticket. Just like the LEGO Creator Expert roller coaster, we have a printed 1x2 ticket. You'll notice it's numbered 0937, which pretty much spells LEGO backwards. It must be really thirsty work selling tickets, hence the 2 decorative glass bottles. These are actually obscuring the ride controls which are sitting behind. The ride controls seem to be pretty simple, with a couple of control panels, some vents, and a red lever to plunge the riders towards their doom. Mounted high above the ticket desk we have another artifact, which is the Idol of Everest. It's said that the tendrils reach out into the unknown, and it also makes a great coat rack. If the Idol of Everest looks familiar, then you'd be right. Something very similar appeared in set number 7417, Temple of Mount Everest from 2003. That version had golden arms, and I wonder if LEGO just didn't want to recreate the parts in that colour. Another artifact, this time Egyptian themed, is the Face of Sphinx. It's a really nice 3D build and is based on an Adventurers set, 5978 Sphinx Secret Surprise. It's the very first Egyptian item that the Baron stole, and he built the manor house around it. Moving on to the room adjacent to the drop ride we have the Baron's magnificent organ. Mounted on the wall high above the organ we have the heads of Anubis. These featured in a LEGO Adventurers set, 5988 the Temple of Anubis from 1998. No haunted house is complete without creepy organ music, and this is a particularly impressive instrument. There's a really impressive set of organ pipes, and I really enjoyed putting those together. We also have organ stops for changing the sound and somewhere to put the sheet music. Like most organs, we have 2 sets of keys, and these are really nice 1x2 printed tiles. Completing this magnificently detailed build, we even have a footboard and a pedal. In typical Von Barron style, we have a chest in the corner containing archaeological equipment, but it's more likely he's just going to dig stuff up and steal it. The final artifact is this magnificent portrait of Baron Samuel Von Barron. This captures the moment when Von Barron finally gets his hands on the Rigu Ruby and activates the mummy's curse, the Curse of Pharaoh Hotep. Remember the plaque on the front of the building that looked like a button? Well, it actually was! Hidden away behind the painting, we have a light brick which makes the Rigu Ruby light up. It also reveals the curse of the mummy, which goes on to haunt Baron Von Barron. It's a really neat decorative build and helps to tie the whole story together. With all of the history stuff out of the way, I think it's time we took a look at this really cool drop ride. In order to get passengers on and off the ride, you can actually remove these 2 rails from either side of the elevator car and pull out the whole car. The elevator car is quite an innovative little build. On either side of the car we have wheels to help it move smoothly up and down the shaft. The sides incorporate grooves for the tyres which help to slow down the car. Already I can start to see some rubber building up on the sides. The car is also decorative, and I love the inclusion of the gold pieces here. Another thing to note is the grey piece, which is how the elevator car gets caught on the chain. The chain runs smoothly through the back here until the grey piece hooks onto the elevator. Inside the elevator there's a separate car which snaps in for the minifigures. There's a clip on the back which helps to lock it into place, and then seating for 2 minifigures within. We even get one of these safety rails and a Manor Von Barron plaque. Once you've loaded up a fresh set of victims, you simply clip the car back inside. With the car removed, you can actually see the chain which runs inside the elevator shaft. There are some rubber shock absorbers at the bottom of the shaft, but these are not the primary mechanism for slowing down the elevator. We actually have 2 sets of tyres on either side of the elevator shaft which grab the car and slow it down. Around the back is where all the magic happens, and you might notice a large pair of flywheels. The flywheel mechanism connects to the tyres on either side of the elevator shaft and really help to slow down the car. The car comes to a graceful stop at the bottom of the shaft and nobody gets sued. Getting the car to the top of the shaft relies on 148 chain links. The longer grey link you see between the 2 wheels is what snags onto the back of the elevator and pulls it up the shaft. To operate the ride manually, we have this crankshaft on the side. There's a brake which engages with the gear to stop the elevator car falling too soon. The brake can be used to hold the elevator car at the top of the shaft until you're ready to release it. To release it, we simply move this lever. Alternatively, if you don't want to release it manually, you can just keep winding the chain until it gets to the top. The grey piece will disengage from the back of the elevator car and it will fall of its own accord. The other really cool thing about this set is the way the doors automatically open when the car reaches the top of the shaft. There's a curved panel on the back of the doors and a slope on the front of the elevator. These work together to force the doors open. This mechanism can be motorized and controlled from an app, but it gets pretty pricey. To do that, you need the powered up hub at $49.99 and 2 medium linear motors which cost $16.99 each. Add a pack of Duracells and you'll be lucky to get change from $90. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to be using one of these bad boys. Attaching the motor is relatively straightforward. Running this at full speed is a little bit noisy and also a little bit too fast. To slow things down a bit, I've introduced an infrared detector and I'm going to use one of these. This is variable so I can set the speed to whatever I want. It struggles at really low speeds, but you can move it up a couple of notches and everything gets a lot smoother. By changing the spacing of the grey pieces on the chain, you can get the ride to catch the car and throw it back up into the air. It looks cool, but I'm sure it's going to break the chain eventually. I prefer to have only one of the grey pieces on the chain, and this gives it a more natural cycle. Even with the standard motors, if you use the kill switch at the right time, you can give the riders the fright of their lives. So that was the epic 10273 Haunted House, but of course we do need to take a look at the minifigures. So here is the minifigure lineup from the 10237 Haunted House, and it turns out there's a bit of a bonus. I said there was 9 minifigures earlier in the video, but we actually have 2 of this guy. This minifigure is described as the Haunted House Butler, and he comes with a sinister twin. As is usually the case with these LEGO Creator Expert sets, it looks like the minifigures use all generic components. I definitely recognise the face, the hat, and I'm pretty sure Hans Christian Andersen wore that torso. He's a smartly dressed gentleman with a white shirt, blue and black striped tie, and a vest. Around the back is a little bit of printing for the creases in the back of the vest, or as we call it in Great Britain, the waistcoat. The face is a really nice print, complete with spectacles and a beard, but it is pretty generic and we do get 2 of them. Speaking of pairs, we have 2 of this almost pure white ghost minifigure. I'm guessing these are the friendly spirits that Von Barron released when trying to use the Resonator to harness the power of the Rigu Ruby. We have a pure white robe piece, white torso, and then a somewhat spooky but friendly face. I definitely recognise the smile, but this thing still makes me feel uneasy. The alternate expression looks a lot closer to what I would expect to see on a ghost. Moving on to the humans, meet woman with medium lavender jacket. As with all these minifigures, we have standard unprinted legs, and then a torso piece which has been recycled from LEGO's extensive collection. In particular, I really like the metallic necklace. The facial expression is really cute, but if you turn it around, she looks absolutely terrified, and I love the fact that we can see her teeth. Honestly, if I'd been to the stylist and walked out with hair like that, I think I'd be terrified too. It's kind of shaggy on this side, and a completely different length around the other. This is precisely why you shouldn't try and cut your own hair under lockdown. Woman with striped black and white shirt is a really cool minifigure. It's kind of a short jacket and you can see the t-shirt poking out around the back. Also poking out around the back we have the ponytail and you can see the secondary expression which is showing through the hair. She looks terrified and I really like this, in fact the mouth looks like it's been put on upside down. Turning back to the front she looks a lot happier. Moving swiftly along, this guy looks like he's just stepped out of Anton's bait shop. He was in a wheelchair, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that was just to get him to the front of the queue. We've got more knitted goodness around the back, and a pleasant, fairly relaxed facial expression. That is until you turn it around. He looks like Mrs. H when she went on the Tower of Terror, except this guy's brave enough to keep his eyes open. This guy has to be one of my favourite minifigures from the set, and he happens to have quite a rare facial print. This has only been used for 2 minifigures, this one and a firefighter from Lego City. I love the sideburns which match really nicely with the hair and that rather nervous look. The torso print is great and not one I've seen before. He's wearing a teal puffer jacket and a t-shirt with some kind of logo underneath. I'm convinced I should know what that logo is, but I just can't put my finger on it. Around the back we have some more printing for the ripples in the jacket and some nice metallic detail around the collar. The hair is a familiar and widely used element, and you can actually see the same haircut on Thor. Finally, for human-style minifigures, we have this smiling young lady. That jacket has been used before for the Powler figure from Lego Hidden Side. It's a Team Spirit jacket for the Squids. I'm guessing they're probably the baseball team in Newbury. The design around the back shows a large and rather scary squid. We only have one facial expression for this minifigure, but it's a beauty. Check out that awesome smile complete with perfectly white teeth. The hair is a widely used element, but a really cool choice for this minifigure. I love the way it flows over the right shoulder. Finally, we have this rather cheery looking top hat wearing skeleton. I don't know why he's so cheerful, but I guess social distancing is something he doesn't have to worry about anymore. The last time we saw him, he was hanging around above something which I've since learned is called the Altar of Alhazred. It's rumoured that this guy might be the skeleton of Sam Sinister, or he may be a third twin butler. He's holding a navigational aid in the form of a ship's sextant, which might suggest that he's Sam Sinister. Apart from that, he's a pretty regular Lego skeleton with a top hat and a sunny disposition. Although we don't have any particularly rare or unusual parts among these minifigures, they are a really nice collection and complement the haunted house really well. So that was the superlatively spooky, supernaturally stunning 10273 Haunted House from Lego Creator Expert. This set knocks it out of the park with all the spooky theming, clever use of batteries and stuff, really cool building techniques like the organ, and some really cool references to Lego Adventurers and Lego Orient Expedition. The innovation in this set is absolutely phenomenal. I love that flywheel mechanism which slows down the elevator, and those automatically opening doors at the top of the shaft are just superb. I've got to say that automating this set is a bit of a gimmick. If you want to go ahead and blow $90 and the parts are in stock, then knock yourself out. Personally, I'm quite content turning the handle. It was great to get 10 minifigures, but let's face it, when you're blowing $250 on a Lego set, you really deserve them. Above all, I really just love the look and feel of this thing. It looks great opened up like this with all the Easter eggs on display, or you can fold it up and it will look great on display with your other Lego sets. It's a very cool thing and I wouldn't be put off by the 18+ age recommendation. I think that's just Lego's way of trying to get adults to buy more Lego. And let's face it, it's working! I had great fun playing with the Haunted House and I hope you enjoyed this unboxing, speed build and review video as much as I did making it. If you did, a thumbs up is always appreciated and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome Lego content. Thanks a million for checking out the review, stay safe and I'll see you on the next build video.